You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that's on all the time, anytime. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for all content. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell. Bring your sports game with Big Nate Sports Talk.
Man, as the leader of this family, man, I cannot thank y'all enough. I can't thank y'all enough, man, for the what we do with you guys, everything, and I can't. You guys coming back, man. This group showed you the type of work that has to be put in. They laid the foundation that it's all about team first, me second. This game is the ultimate team sport. The ultimate. And no matter what you are or the individual things you do, you can't do it without the guy to the left. And they got it. Hey, y'all, man. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Let's sing this damn song. 1, 2, 3, man.
Escape the negative. I'm just trying to live. So get back on this ride. Get back on this ride. Get back on this ride. Wait. Yep. Wait. My life is a fuse of a live bomb. On the bridge where the tide can't flow, snap vivid like the Nikon. Been cold but the vibe warm. Keep it locked like the vice arm. They got her twisted like the coat arm. Heart something froze like the snowstorm. Her tote bag match her throat charm. She from the land of the sand where they flex so subtle when her drink mint muddle. Left home and her man in the game that he played for the sand of the shade. She parades you the square in her shades. She like why you do that. Niggas be deceptive. Yeah, I'm pretty restless. Long as the check is addressed to a resident. She self-heal therapy. She beat 10 on clearance but she shopping for clarity. Reap what she sold for the dividend. Know what time is the medicine. Copping the wristwatch. Cartier with the bezel on her credit. Demanding hers where it's due. I swear she's so sadistic. Defensive pessimist.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that's on all the time, anytime. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for all content. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell. Bring your sports game with Big Nate Sports Talk.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that lovely, wonderful introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope each and every one of you are doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. Hope you had a great day. Welcome to Season 13, Episode 1 of the podcast. In this episode, we are recapping the Maryland Terrapins winning for a second year in a row, the Mayo Bowl. But before we get into, there's a few things I want to say up front. Yesterday, this video was supposed to go live, but due to what occurred on Monday Night Football with Mr. Damar Hamlin, I decided to put this video on hold and go live for it tonight. I did put up a video earlier today of my thoughts on not only Damar, but how the situation with the NFL, how this was handled, and what needs to be done. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the final message. But if you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, you want to see more content like that, please consider hitting that subscribe button, along with also following me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Big Sports Talk, where the reviews are greatly appreciated. Season 11 and 12 will have those episodes uploaded. We have all the episodes downloaded. My team and I are working on that, and we're going to get those out to you, uploaded on Spotify via Anchor, uploaded as soon as possible. But let's get into it. The Maryland Terrapins, for a second year in a row, finished 8-5. This is the first time since 2010, their second consecutive bowl win. Defeated North Carolina State, defeated the Wolfpack. The final score was 16-12. A couple things. I'm ecstatic for the program. As a Maryland fan, I've seen this program with its ups and downs. I could call it the end of the Ralph Friedgen era, the DJ Durkin era, and Mike Locksley. I have to give Coach Locksley his flowers in this regard. He has changed the culture for this program. These guys are brought in. We have not taken the next step quite yet. It is our first 8-win season since joining the Big Ten in 2010, excuse me. You have to remember, when he took over this program, we're dealing in the aftermath of how the previous regime handled the Jordan Nair situation, the culture. It was a mess. And Locksley came in, he changed the culture, he brought in guys, and you see improvements every year, even though there is a lack of success. What he has done for this program, we have to give Coach Locksley his flowers. The last time Maryland has won the back-to-back bowl games was the 2002-03 season. And, I've been fighting this narrative that Maryland is just a basketball school. Because Maryland's basketball program, ladies and gentlemen, they're also in that "what have you done for me lately" phase. Maryland basketball hasn't been truly successful since the year we won the national championship, which is well over 20 years ago. Maryland, even though this year where Kevin Willard's come in and he's brought in guys, guys are brought in, there's still some room for improvement. But you can't take away from what he's done. You see the recruits that he's bringing in. Now the expectations are going to be a little bit higher. Now we're going to look at the team a little differently. We're going to hold them to a more of a higher standard. When you're bringing in, let's think about the season. Even though there were disappointing losses, but look how we were competitive against teams like Michigan, Ohio State. Look at those type of moral victories for the program. Purdue, Penn State, Wisconsin, those are growing pains, and we take something from those games. we're taking that step, but we're not there yet. And for me, I'm just proud of the guys for what they've done. Um, the game was a little choppy. Um, when it counted, the defense stepped up, offense made plays. But let's look at it from this perspective. We didn't have 4 of our receivers, but the others stepped up. Dante Demas Jr., Jacob Copeland, Raheem Jarrett, and C.J. Dupree. C.J.'s transferring to Alabama. Dante, Jacob, and Raheem are declaring for the draft. So congratulations to those guys. I wish them all the best. All have been invited to the NFL Combine. I believe they do well. I believe each one of them have a wonderful skill set that they'll bring to an NFL team. So it'll be weird not having them on there next year. CJ was reliable. So pretty much similar situation in the Pinstripe Bowl, where we were down to just one running back. Deshaun Jones, took over, and Ty Felton. They pretty much were in control, and he had the freshman in there. Mr. Deshaun Jones was, to me, the MVP of the game. 79 yards in receiving. After the brilliant game he had against Rutgers. He, to me, has been Talia's, go-to security blanket, if you will. And Ty Felton, he has shown to me that next year he could arguably be the number 1 wide receiver for this offense. He definitely had more playing time. He finished with 4 receptions for about 69 yards. Octavian Smith, he played all 12 games. They had 9 or 10 receptions on the year, 123 yards and a touchdown. And it was also mainly on the kick returns. He had to me, was a key point in winning us winning the game with an impressive kickoff return. There's still some things that have to be worked on. But when it mattered, they showed out. We're just getting a taste of what these guys in their roles and their skill sets they can bring to the table for this offense. They're young. But again, that's the whole point of when you're a freshman, and you're still adjusting to the system. I thought the defense in the second half was key for the Terrapins. It's interesting, in the regular season, as a defensive unit, we have allowed 10 points or fewer in the second half. It really wasn't a whole lot in the first half. You look at the second half, the first 4 drives for NC State, we forced them to punt the ball 4 times. And then when you look at it, when Talia threw the interception on the 5th drive, that defense still held its ground and, held NC State to just 3 points. The game, to me, I thought the catch by Bennett was arguably, that was probably the best catch. And unfortunately, who was he defending on that? For Turpin, Daryl Jones, who's been balling down there at NC State. Shout out to Daryl Jones. And to finish off your career as a Maryland Terrapin, that's something you won't forget. And then you look at it from this perspective. You didn't have Tally out there for. I read something where there was this concern of something about he violated code of conduct, something along those lines. but that really wasn't. I wasn't bothered by that. Um, Billy Edwards, for the most part, I think did a good job. He held the fort down. Tally came in there and did his thing. Um, but for me, for Maryland, I thought what was key was their defense. I mean, when you held Ben Finley to 269 yards or 48 passes, he only completed 22 of those passes. He threw 2 interceptions. That's rank your head on that stat. And then also, too, on the running game for NC State, we held them to 27 yards and 18 carries. I mean, for a defense, painfully, that has allowed over 150 yards, that is something you have to give the Terrapins credit on. And a lot of that's credit to the coaching staff. A lot of that's credit to the leaders on that defense. And when it mattered, the second half was key. The running backs stepped up, even though we didn't have, again, our go-to receivers. Ramon Henby, I mean, I can't tell you how special this kid's going to be. I think he's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL in the future for the NFL. He has all the tools. I mean, even though he didn't have too many sexy runs against that NC State defense, but he has explosiveness, and when he gets into space, he makes it look so easy out there. You can see his carries throughout the season increase. I think he ended up at 24, which is ironically more than what NC State had than their running back core. Remember, had on that to finish on the 1,000 yards. Please watch out if you're Purdue, if you're Penn State, Michigan, because these boys are going to be something. And I can't wait to see what he looks like next year. Now, got to talk about the Maryland record holder for College Park, and that's Talia Tungavaloa. I don't know what to expect. Some say he'll stay, some say he'll leave. Talia's not ready for the league yet. He needs one more year. My concern with Talia, great arm, great running ability. But in this game, he threw the ball 19 times for 37 out of 37 passes and committed 2 turnovers.
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
I'm not sitting here denying what's going on, Anthony Handy. Good to see you. Now, I'm not denying that Talia doesn't have talent. He shows it. He has capabilities of being a good quarterback in the NFL for years to come. I mean, I think he arguably in the Big Ten was, you can make a case, top 5, top 3, easily. But I do think if you look at it from a take away the fan view for a second, he had the expectations could be better. He had injuries, and he did have a tendency to turn the ball over. Yes, finished with 18 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and about 3,000 yards. There's some things that he has to continue to clean up. I like to see his pocket presence be clean, his decision-making with the ball. He gets a little too happy feet and not trusting his playmakers. Now, granted, some of that was at times his offensive line not being healthy. That's fine. but there's some things I would like to see Talia clean up. And I think he's going to come back one more year. I mean, regardless if he leaves, Talia to me is a definitely has made the case to be a late first round, early second round pick in the draft. I mean, those records will for now won't be touched, but to do what he's done at Maryland, you can't deny his talent. I love Talia, but I think he could benefit from one more year being at College Park, and more importantly, man, like I love the Terps. I'm just proud of the work that these guys have put in. From where they were, not last year, but just the previous years. I'm just seeing everybody bought in. I'm seeing growth, and I'm seeing this narrative that they can't compete. Yes, Big Ten is different what the ACC is, but these boys have shown that they can hang with a Michigan State and Ohio State if they just work on some things and they just take away certain things that they learn from each game. It's going to the bar is set for them. They can this success of this program goes as far as they can take it. And yes, we have lost some guys in the transfer portal, but we have been getting some guys too. We're going to talk about that in a later date. And he's definitely bringing in some good recruits. 3-star, 4-stars. Would love to see a 5-star recruit come to Maryland eventually. But you're going to see that. And give Coach Locksley credit. It's the team first, him second. And they're bought in. Let these guys enjoy it. I'm giving them their flowers. Next year, let's see what it looks like. But right now, what a way to end your year. You finish 8 wins. I called it about 8, 9, 10 wins. I got that guarantee right. I was hoping Talia would have got some Heisman Trophy consideration, but that's okay. Next year, let's just see what it looks like. And let's just see what the continued recruitment, transfer portal, and let's see what this team looks like. Because I think next year, that's not just for the Big Ten, but I think for college football, will look a lot different for talent, in my opinion. Question about Georgia. You guys are beating TCU. Even though if your run game stays consistent and you don't make the mistakes like Michigan did, because Michigan should have won that game, but that's on the subject for another video. But let's get into our final part of the show. It's final
incoming message.
Thoughts are running through my mind. Someone took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
As most of you know, I made a video earlier today about my thoughts on DeMar Hamlin. And it's good to hear that he's making some good progress. He's 50% on the ventilator. They actually have him on his stomach to help take the pressure off his lungs. I know his one of his reps said taking it minute by minute, hour by hour. Just still continue to pray for him, continue to pray for his family. But there's a conversation that needs to be had in terms of player safety, in terms of understanding that these guys are human. I harper on listening to the roundtable earlier today, and great insightful conversation. But I also wanted to add that is you have to understand when these guys go home, they go home to families too. Just like you and I as a listener, we work 9 to 5s, we go home to families too. This is not just for athletes, this is for anybody. They're human too. They put food on their families' tables. They're the breadwinners. The focus should not be the round table didn't say this, but the fact that we had people on social media having more concerns about, not all, there were some that are more concerned about their parlays, fantasy sports. Shut the hell up. Kiss my ass. Like, that's not important. As I mentioned in the video earlier today, what's important is this kid, these next few days are that's what we need to be focused on, is this kid pulling through. And I'm proclaiming he walks out that hospital. But excuse my language, but fuck your money, fuck your parlay, fuck fantasy sports. No one cares about that. Nobody cares. That fantasy sports, all that'll happen tomorrow, next month, next year. You're going to get your $10, your $30. You're going to get all that some other time. But what happened yesterday, he could have died on that field. And you have people in the media that, for some reason, are not reprimanded for the things that they've said. I'm talking about Skip Bayless. I talked about him in the video. It's not just with this one. He's downplayed mental health. He's downplayed other issues that athletes have tried to come to the table and be vulnerable about. It's not just him, it's others that have been very disgusting. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to get to a place where we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, how do we be better? You look at the amount of people that donated to his toy drive. I took the opportunity and donated some money myself to it, because it's when you have that type of community and those type of people that look at him as if he was their son, he was their brother, nephew, cousin, best friend. Those are the things we have to think about, because this thing called life is very precious. And as we always say, tomorrow's not promised. And that was a life-changing situation for not only him, but for his family who was there at the game. As I stated in the video, I'm proclaiming he walks out that hospital on his own power. I'm proclaiming that God will use his power to pull DeMar through. Because I believe DeMar is going to walk out that hospital. I'm also praying for the Bills and the Bengals. Gotta give a shout out to the Bengals fans. Gotta give them a shout out. Class act. You didn't hear any, why is the game canceled? You saw concern. You saw humanity. You saw people coming together and consoling one another. Even take to the point going to the hospital. You're seeing sport teams, not just the NFL, basketball, baseball, soccer, Major League Soccer, excuse me, coming together and showing support for DeMar and his family. We have to get to a place, ladies and gentlemen, where let's stop thinking about the selfish things. And let's start thinking about, what can we do to be better? How can I show support? How can I what can I do to be a lending ear, be a something to just make the situation less stressful and give more hope. Because what I saw on social media yesterday, and even though I'm continuing to it's not as bad as it was yesterday, is that everybody's coming together and understanding that this could have been any one of us. And this is a life-altering situation. Because it shook me to the core, as I said in my video earlier today. Now, a couple things I have a couple questions. I'm not letting the Players Association off the hook because I hope that they really fight at the table, emphasis on player safety, which I'm sure they have. But it's not just with what happened last night. Tua and his concussions. The Miami Dolphins, don't get me started with them. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm looking at these injuries. I'm going to give you an example. The Baltimore Ravens. I can't tell you how many injuries have occurred, not only this season, but last season. Not just of the Ravens, across the damn league. It is disgusting with these injuries. But yet, player safety. I don't see that. That's not just on the Players Association, that's on the owners too. We get it. You're making your money. But money shouldn't be the priority. The priority is player safety. Because with all due respect, you're going to see a lot of changes. You're going to see that. That's not just in the NFL. That's college. That's high school. That's Pee Wee League. That's little. You're going to see changes across the board. Because what happened last night, that should not have happened. And I also mentioned in the video, I want to send my prayers to T. Higgins. It was not his fault. I don't want anyone to blame him for what happened. T. Higgins, if you're watching, like I said in the video, what happened was not your fault. Don't think that for 1 second. It was not. Because there were some people on social media that did that. I thought that was classless. I thought that was disgusting. So I'm praying for him because they have a relationship. They go back practically to the sandbox. Along with Tyler Boyd. Mike Tomlin talked about him as well today. So, again, I'm just going to continue to pray for DeMar and his family. I'm glad to hear that there's a good progress, and I'm hoping that there'll be continued progress because we're all praying for him. And I'm proclaiming that he walks out on his own power out that hospital. But also, too, I really do hope that the NFL, because the biggest thing I want you guys to watch is the rest of the season. Because you got to think about the psyche of some of these players. It's going to be really interesting. I'm going to watch closely how injuries are monitored, certain hits, certain tackles. I'm going to watch for that. Because what happened last night, that's a bad look on the league. I'm only 28 years old. Football, I love it. But the NFL last night can kiss my ass. Because it shouldn't have taken you an hour to say, game's canceled. Should not have. And as I said in my video, I'll leave the link in the description. I don't know who said, okay, 5 minutes, go warm up. I don't know where that started or who that came from. I don't have the sources. But if that's true, that's a bad look. That's a bad look. So that's my final message. Ladies and gentlemen, be tuned in for future. Thank you for tuning in. I had to get that off my chest. Again, Appreciate you joining in this episode. Please like, comment, subscribe. I have some other videos coming out tomorrow. Maryland women's basketball team start the year off on a W. The men got thrashed by Michigan basketball. The Ravens and the Washington Commanders are not serious franchises, and I have to painfully recap those games as well. So you will see all my anger in that video, in those two videos. But ladies and gentlemen, until then, I hope each and every one of you have a great night. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. It's on all the time, anytime. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Stay up.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Thank you. And you help me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything.